Hey there, guys, and welcome back to the Travis and Damian podcast, episode 136. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and more. Today, we're talking about Star Wars Outlaws, Nintendo's Indie World, Sonic 3 movie, Fallout TV series, and more. But as usual, we'll get into our recent activities, and for this episode, I will go first. So the only game I've really been playing a lot of that's not like my usual multiplayer shenanigans is God of War Ragnarok. It's been out for a year or so now, maybe even 2 years. But I'm finally getting around to it. That's going to be my next big game review. I'm only like 10 hours in, which is like 1/3 of the game. But I can confidently say that I like this a lot more than God of War 2018. I'm not sure if it's because of the mindset that I was when I played the first God of War 2018, where I kind of just like rushed through the game and I was just like going through the motions of it and just playing it and not really like taking it all in. This time around, I'm very much like paying attention to like the gameplay, the story. And I think that the story is definitely capturing me a lot more in terms of like this eluding thing that's Ragnarok and sort of like what's going to happen when it does happen. And I think that is very interesting, obviously. And with Atreus as a character, he's sort of evolved from what was revealed at the end of the first game, which is still like the most mind-blowing ending, I would say, of that console generation, where it was just like, okay, yeah, like what the hell just happened kind of thing. But yeah, I'm very much enjoying the game so far. The gameplay is not open world, but there are definitely segments where they're like, oh, like there's like this optional thing that you could do if you want. There's like extra goodies or whatever. And like the game has a lot of those sequences where like Atreus will like say like a thing that's like very much like gameplay-y, where it's like, oh, maybe you should look up there, or like, oh, maybe we should go and do this thing. And personally, I like that a lot because I'm stupid and I'm very much like, I get lost very easily, especially during like the optional segments, because Atreus doesn't say those things because it's obviously optional. So sometimes I'll be stuck and I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do here? Or like I don't know where to go next. Where is like this last collectible thing or whatever. But yeah, I mean, so far, like I really do like how the game is structured. The gameplay is very much the same of God of War 2018, just improved. But yeah, very much enjoying my experience so far. Damien, do you have any comments of God of War Ragnarok?
Yeah, I mean, everything you said is basically how I felt. I think by the end, it's weird, right? 'Cause I think by the end, I did prefer 2018's like story overall until Valhalla came out, which was like the sort of extra DLC that came for free like a few months ago. And that, I think, made Ragnarok even better because it acted as a very good epilogue. I mean, I highly recommend you play through Valhalla. Like, I know that's like adding like another like 10-ish hours to a pretty longish game for you.
Yeah.
But I do recommend, especially to someone that has played the originals like you, I think you're going to get a lot of enjoyment out of it. Because my brother was like losing his mind over it. And me too. But, I didn't really play the originals. So... but even while all the fan service, it still acts as a great epilogue to that whole Norse saga. So, if you do have the time, I definitely recommend playing Valhalla at some point, because I definitely think it's worth the time. But overall, I think Ragnarok was also like just great. Like you said, I thought the story was great. I love the open world segments the game has. It kind of has like a whole segment that you're going to go later in the game that sort of acts like the Last of Us Part 2 like open area part where you could go through like a whole big open area. It's pretty fun. But yeah, I think Ragnarok is great, and I really enjoyed how they evolved Kratos' character from the PS2 games, where he's just an angry boy, into a more complex character that he is now. And I'm really excited to see what they do like with the series, whether they, keep going with Kratos, maybe follow another character. I don't really know what they're going to do, but I'm very excited to see what they go on with. Like, I don't know if they're going to do a new mythology or whatever, but I guess we'll see when they do a new one. But yeah, Ragnarok was really good. I love that game, so...
All right. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the God of War series is obviously synonymous with Kratos, so I feel like if they were to do something different with a whole new character, they would have to call it something different than God of War, which I think is obviously like a branding thing, and not a lot of people are going to get as invested into it. So, but obviously haven't finished the game yet, so I don't know exactly what they could possibly do, but I'm excited to hopefully get around to that by the end of next month, hopefully. But yeah, I've been watching a bunch of movies. I've been really getting the use out of my A-list program, if you will. So the first movie that I saw after last week's episode was Monkey Man. This is a action movie by Dave Patel. He did a lot to sort of make sure that this movie got off the ground. He put a lot of his own budget into it. He's directing it. He starred in it. And it's pretty much about this guy who went through a lot of shit in his upbringing, and he wants to get revenge on a specific group of people. And the movie takes its time to sort of build the story, the world that we're in, before we get into those super crazy action sequences. Like if you watch the trailer, all of those action sequences are phenomenal, and even better seeing it on the big screen, whether it's Dolby Cinema or even IMAX. Like that shit was just so crazy. Like it is definitely the best action movie this year so far, without a doubt. But it definitely takes its time to sort of get there. So I think that could lose some audience members where it's like, oh, like I watched the trailer. When are these big action sequences going to happen? But when they do happen, it's all worth it because it's in this context to go and fit the movie's overall narrative. And, you know, it had like a standing ovation at one of the, at the Sundance or something like that. And I mean, I could see why. Like this movie is the reason why movies exist, I would say. Like movies like this need to exist more, from the story aspect, the action aspect, everything about it. So the fact that this was a movie that went from almost dead because Netflix didn't want it to Jordan Peele sort of picking it up and being like, we need to release this shit in theaters because it is that good. So very happy that this movie is now in the world. The next one I watch is Civil War. My girlfriend wanted to go see this, and I was like, okay, yeah, sure. And it's pretty much about this group of photojournalists, which I can somewhat relate to as a journalism graduate myself. So seeing these photojournalists sort of go through this world of America that's very much split up, where they're going through a civil war, and the movie does take its time to sort of build out like what this new America looks like. There are certain things that people are just like, why is Texas and California teaming up or whatever, and like certain other aspects of it. And you know what? Those fine details are definitely missing there. But I think that the overall story and the overall narrative of following these people and sort of how they capture these photos and sort of capturing these moments that are happening within this story are very important. And I think that some people were going into this movie expecting like super like polarizing like political views or whatever the hell is going on. That's like not the main focus. It's mainly about like the photojournalism aspect, and it really does sort of go into that because of Kirsten Dunst's character. She is sort of like a veteran in this space, and then there's this other character who I forget her name, but she's very much like trying to get into it now as like a young 20-year-old, and it's like, well, she's a kid, you know, like there's like dangerous shit going on, like literally. A lot of the movie, there's like explosions, bombs, gunshots. Like it is so goddamn loud within IMAX. It like me and my girlfriend got jump scared a few times just like watching the movie because like it's just like quiet, and the next scene it's just gunshots. So holy shit! But you know what? That's just sort of like what this world is. And yeah, I think that it is a very good movie. If you're interested in it at all and you sort of know that like it's not going to be about like the politics 100%, I think that you will get a kick out of this movie. But to those people that were on Letterboxd and rated it 1 star just because it was apolitical, that's just how your expectations didn't meet what you wanted the movie to be. That's just my opinion. And the last movies that I watched was a double feature this past Monday. I went with a good friend of mine and content creator, Jimmy Mullen. We went to see Shrek 2 and then Spider-Man 1 as sort of like re-releases. I believe they're like turning 20 years old or whatever. So, I mean, Spider-Man 1 in particular is more than 20 years old, but, you know, they're doing the whole Spider Mondays or whatever. But Shrek 2. Never watched Shrek 2 ever.
What? Really?
Yes. So seeing it for the first time in theaters was definitely special. I watched the first Shrek, I think like a few months ago, like 6 months ago or something like that. But watching the second one in theaters on the big screen was great. I mean, I was laughing for a lot of the movie because the jokes do still land. You know, obviously it's like a kid's movie or whatever, but like the jokes still work for adults. Like they're very subtle. Like when Donkey says like he has a piece or some shit, I was like, what the hell? Like they got away with that. And then obviously like the whole OJ Simpson chase scene, that was like the best comedic part of that movie. Jimmy and my girlfriend told me about it before I went in, but I didn't know like what it would look like. But just seeing that clip, I was just like, man, this is a great movie. And also, you know, it just has like a lot of charm, a lot of heart to it in terms of like its storytelling and sort of like what it's supposed to be in terms of like who, like changing yourself for who you love is not exactly what you're supposed to be doing when like, you know, if someone loves you, they'll love you for who you are. All your flaws and everything like that is sort of like what the movie's trying to tell you. But yeah, I mean, it was a great movie theater experience for $5. You know what? You can't go wrong with that. I don't know if they're still doing it as of now, but you know what? If you've never seen Shrek 2 or if you want to rewatch it in theaters, it's always a great opportunity to do so. You got any comments on Shrek 2 or?
Dude, yeah, I love Shrek 2. Like, I still don't believe you never watched it before. That's kind of crazy.
Yes.
Like, I never watched it in theaters, but obviously I watched it as a kid. And you know, I love Shrek as a kid. Like, even like non-meme wise, like, you know, like I had Shrek. I watched the fucking 3D Shrek. Like, that was a Universal ride, but it made it into like a DVD. I watched that. Shrek 2, obviously. Like, yeah, I mean, yeah, Shrek 2 is great. I mean, that I Need a Hero scene is still like fucking amazing for like no reason. So, yeah, when I heard they were doing that in theaters, I'm like, that's so random, but also like really cool. So I'm glad people were able to experience Shrek 2 again in the big screen. And, you know, I wonder, I mean, I think they are making a new Shrek, so we'll see how that does. I know people really like the new Puss in Boots movie. So we'll see if that could carry over to Shrek. But DreamWorks is very, like flip floppy with their quality, so we'll see how they do there. But yeah,
I definitely did not know that they were going to introduce Puss in Boots in this movie. So then when he came out, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, we'll see what this is all about. But yeah, great time. Then later that day, we saw Spider-Man 1 by Sam Raimi. First time ever watching this in theaters, and it was magical, is all I could really say. I mean, just seeing it on the big screen, but also I think it was like 35 millimeter matte or something like that. So like the film looked extra crispy, and it just looked so nice to just see it on there. Obviously, like most of the people in that theater knew what was gonna happen. My girlfriend, she's never seen the old Spider-Man movies.
That's crazy too. What the fuck?
Including the Amazing Spider-Man duology. So
that's fine.
So we're seeing all 5 of those movies. We might go and see the Tom Holland ones. Not to say that Tom Holland is bad, but we've seen those in theaters at different points in our lives. But I mean, just seeing this movie in theaters, I was just like, man, like this is great. It's been a few years since I've actually watched the movie, so like there were a couple of like little scenes that I forgot about. Obviously, people were remember like the big moments, like when he, you know, takes on Bonesaw and sort of the conversation that Goblin had with Spidey the first time, and obviously the final battle. But yeah, I mean, it was great. I'm glad that I can now say that I've seen Spider-Man 1 in theaters, because, you know, it is just so awesome, so good. Like, it is truly like a classic in terms of like the superhero genre, but also just like in movies in general. I feel maybe a little biased there, but we're going to be seeing Spider-Man 2 this upcoming Monday, and I cannot wait for that one, because, you know, over the years when I was a kid, I did not really like Spider-Man 2 because I was like, oh, why did he lose his powers? You know, like that's dumb. But obviously, like I've gotten older, I've watched the film a few more times, and obviously, like I get the messaging there. So, you know, I cannot wait to see Spider-Man 2 and obviously the other movies, and I'll be sure to talk about them on this podcast.
Yeah, dude, Spider-Man 2 was always the GOAT, even when I was a kid. I was like, that shit is awesome. I mean, I really like that they, like you said to me, that they're extending like the length that they're going to be in theaters. Like, I think that's a good thing, because just having Mondays is fucking weird. But it's still weird that, like, I get they probably don't want the weekend slots because, you know, that's like new movies and stuff. But, you know, I think like a Friday would have been nice. But I'm still going to see if I could see Spider-Man 2, because that would be pretty nice. And then everything else, like Spider-Man 1, I would have loved to see as well, but like Spider-Man 3, I could skip. That's okay. Like it's a fun movie, but it's still not like good. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't wait to see the rest of these films in theaters. But last thing I've been watching is Invincible season 1 on Amazon Prime. Finally got around to just sitting down and like watching all of it, because I saw all the buzz going around with season 2 and like the finale that happened. So I was like, okay, let me go ahead and sit down and watch Invincible season 1. And I mean, the buzz is there. Like, there's a reason why people love talking about this show so much, and it does live up to the hype. I feel like a lot of Amazon Prime shows in general, people don't really talk about them or rave about them as much as like the Marvel stuff or anything else within the superhero genre. And I feel like Invincible is definitely getting up there. Like, you know, I know Skybound is trying to fund a AAA Invincible game, which is kind of crazy. That, yeah. So, you know, with this season in and of itself, I mean, the storytelling's there. Like, they do a lot of things with the characters to sort of have like little, you know, I guess like the Fallout show does this as well, which we'll talk about later. But, you know, they put like little like things and sort of like hints that'll allude to other things later on, and they do that pretty much throughout the entire season. And then by the end of it, there's still other things that are not fully answered, and obviously people were waiting for season 2 to happen to sort of answer those questions, or they read ahead within the comic books that came out within the 2000s or whatever. So I mean, this is a great show. I think that if you could get past sort of like the kind of bad animation. I'll be for real. Like, it doesn't look that great, but like the voice acting is like spot on. Like, they have a lot of celebrity actors that honestly do a fantastic job voicing their characters. Like Stephen Young as Invincible, Mark, he is awesome. J.K. Simmons as Omni-Man is also great. So yeah, and there's also a bunch of other celebrities in there that you may or may not know as you watch the show on Amazon, which I love about Amazon is that when you hover over the player, you could see like the actors that are like talking or on screen. So yeah, Invincible season 1. Cannot wait to watch the Adam Eve special and then eventually get into Invincible season 2.
Yeah, I really need to watch that as well. Since, I'm like on Amazon Prime Video. I'm like, I should watch Invincible and The Boys. I should really do that. So yeah, I'm probably gonna do that honestly, because after the Fallout show, I'm like, well, I might as well keep like watching things here. So, but yeah, I heard like a lot of good things about Invincible, and I've seen like the animation is just very inconsistent. I've seen like sometimes it looks pretty good, and sometimes it looks like really like not good.
Yes.
So, but overall, I heard it's really good, and think Mark, all the memes. Like I've seen all the memes. So
yes, I've seen the memes, which spoiled some things, but you know what? It was all fun. But yeah, the one thing I hate about Amazon Prime is now the goddamn ads. I don't know why they have to put ads in there. Jeff Bezos, come on, man. You guys can spare, the few ads in there or whatever, but anyways,
we had like an Android ad. I'm like, what the fuck?
What have you been doing these past 2 weeks?
All right, so I finished up all the games that I wanted to finish up. I was busy with 7 Rebirth, so I wasn't able to really like finish up Peach or Penny's Big Breakaway, but now I was able to do that. So I'm gonna start with Peach. I finished that game up. I collected all the collectibles like within the base game. I didn't do any of the post game stuff, but I collected all the little star bit things and went through every stage. And yeah, like I said in the last podcast, I think the game is really fun. Like I said, I think the best thing about the game is the presentation, just from like how the levels are structured, having all the nice little set piece moments to all the costumes, how the presentation is laid out as a stage play. I think that is the game's biggest strength. And just going through the stages once is great because, you get to experience a little story they're telling. You wear your costume, you do all the fun stuff. Every level kind of feels a bit different from each other, even with the same costume, because, like you're doing different scenarios and stuff. And I think that's a lot of fun. I think where the game kind of falls apart is like if you are trying to collect stuff, because I just did it because I don't know, something in my monkey brain, like, oh, I gotta do it, right? So I did it. And I think replaying levels like it really isn't that fun because, like I said last time, you already know all the set piece moments, so it just kind of becomes a drag because you can't really speed it up. But you kind of just gotta watch the same thing over and over again. And like I said, you can't. There's no like advanced movement tech or whatever. Like you kind of just are just moving along and stuff. And a lot of collectibles are very like you either get it or you don't. Like they're very like, oh, it like fell down and now you can't get it anymore, and you can't restart from a checkpoint. You gotta like restart the whole level, and that shit sucks. So yeah, if you're gonna play this game, probably don't do that because like it's probably just better just to play through the game normally. But yeah, besides that, I was surprised how good like some of the boss fights were. I'm like, oh, like these are like pretty good boss fights. Like I really like the one where you like reflect the lasers and shit, because that actually like got me down to like 1 HP because I'm like, oh shit. So like that was kind of cool. Same thing with the like the cat boss, like that was kind of fun. Like I honestly, a lot of the boss designs in general were like pretty good for like sort of like this type of game. And the finale also went hard for like no reason too. It kind of did like a Kirby situation where it's like, all right, time to go like super hard for no reason. And I really liked that. It was, it felt properly like epic for no fucking reason. So that was nice. And even when you beat the game, you have like a lot of stuff you could do. But like I said, it kind of runs into the same problem where I don't think the stages are that fun to replay. So it being like, oh, you could like collect 3 guys that got lost in the level, like go look for them. I'm like, I kind of don't want to do that. Yeah. Because, like I said, yeah, the stages aren't super fun to replay, and you have like some challenges or stuff you could do with each costume, like kill some guys with Sword Fighter Peach and stuff, and that's fine. But yeah, overall, I think it's a fun game. I really did enjoy it. If they do a sequel, I would like to see maybe more. Like, I don't know if they're going to keep the same theme of like a stage play or the costumes. I would like if the costumes stay. Like, I don't know what the identity of a Peach game is just yet. If they do a sequel, then I will have a better idea. But I would just like more Peach games because I think it's pretty cool. Maybe introduce the other princesses, I guess. I don't know, get like Rosalina and Daisy in there, like have like a whole squad there. I don't know. That could be fun. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a really cute game. Like, it was just very charming, really cute. I really enjoyed it. Obviously, if you're someone that wants more of a challenge in the games, it's probably not going to be be for you. But if you care about, charming games, if you like things like Kirby or whatever, or any of the other games that Good Feel made, so like Kirby Epic Yarn or Yoshi's Woolly World, you'll probably enjoy this game as well. So yeah, I had a solid time with it. For $60, you could do worse. You could do Sonic Superstars. So yeah, no, I thought it was a good time.
What was your favorite outfit?
I really liked anything where I like fought shit because I'm a gamer. So like actually, yeah, like Sword Fighter, Kung Fu Peach, stuff like that. I actually I'm trying to think of the other costumes I really enjoyed. Like some of the more gimmicky ones I actually ended up enjoying. Like I actually liked Baker Peach kinda. Mm-hmm. Detective Peach I kind of liked as well. Like even though it was really baby puzzles they have to solve, I'm like, this is really cute. Like like being the detective and stuff. But yeah, most of the ones I like are the ones that are more like character action focus, I guess, like something where you can just beat the shit out of stuff. So so I wonder if they're gonna lean more to that direction and wherever other Peach games, if there is more Peach games after this. But yeah, overall I thought it was a very solid low game. I really enjoyed it. So yeah. And the next thing I played was Penny's Big Breakaway. So I was like about halfway through this game as well before 7 Rebirth 8 all my time. And man, this game is very good. And I'm kind of sad no one's really talking about it as much because I feel like it's like when a game shadow drops, I feel like it's either a good thing or a bad thing because sometimes it works out in the game's favor. Like something like Hi-Fi Rush got a lot of attention because it was a shadow drop. But I feel like people already knew about this game. So it's shadow dropping. I feel like it kind of just dropped at a bad time. It was like between like a lot bigger games coming out because the the first quarter of this year was like fucking insane with games. So I think it kind of just got lost in the shuffle. And I have like no one talk about this game. Like there's some people that talk about like Donkey and stuff, but it's a shame because the game is really good. Like I said, like the movement feels so good, and once you get good with it, it feels great. Like by like the later half of the game, I was just like doing like a bunch of crazy shit, and I felt like so in control of Penny the whole time that it felt great. At first I thought it was weird. Like you don't really have a double jump. You have like this weird like you jump and then you like do like a yo-yo trick.
Yeah.
But I learned that you could kind of like chain it where you do that. Press X again, you do that twirl, and then if you press square, you kind of do like that attack move. But you could kind of like make it like a weird double jump and it feels like good. It's kind of weird to explain, but once you get the hang of the controls, it feels really good. I think all the stages were a lot of fun. The boss fights were pretty fun. Some of them were like really fucking easy. Like you just hit the guy like 2 times and they died. So that was fine or whatever. But like sort of just the level design and just how the game plays just felt so good. Like I just wanted more levels because of how good the game was to play. I did everything in the game as well. I did all the levels, I got all the collectibles, I did all the Star Globe levels as well, which were a lot of fun. And yeah, I was just like, I kind of want more of this. So hopefully the game sells enough that Evening Star could do another Penny's Big Breakaway, because I would love to see a sequel to this, maybe evolve, some of the level design or some of the controls. I don't really know what you would do. I just want more levels because the game just feels great to play. If you're a fan of 3D platformers, definitely give this a try. It's a ton of fun. I think the controls take a bit to get used to just because it's pretty different from other 3D platformers. But once you get the hang of it, it feels really good to like master. Like speedruns for this game have to be like weird because like you can do a lot of weird stuff. So yeah, great game. I hope it gets like a little more attention, but yeah, great game. So a bit of a hidden gem this year, as to say. So yeah.
Yeah.
And last thing I've been playing is Fallout 4 because I watched the Fallout TV show. I'm like, I feel like playing Fallout now. So
yeah,
I wasn't gonna like. I wasn't gonna.
That's what everyone did. That's what I did too. I mean, I played a little bit of 76 because my girlfriend was like, "Oh, we can like play together." It ran like shit on my PC.
It does run like shit. Yeah.
Go on.
Okay, so like Fallout 4, I have a interesting history with. I talked about it when I talked about Starfield, where I'm like, I didn't really like Fallout 4 when it first came out. It came out. It's crazy. This game came out 9 years ago at this point, which is fucking insane because I feel like it just came out still. But it came out basically almost a decade ago, and I played this game right after New Vegas and 3. And New Vegas is like one of my favorite Western RPGs ever. And, going from that game to Fallout 4, I'm like, this isn't Fallout. And the reason why I feel like that is because, a lot of the RPG mechanics were stripped out to be way more of a first-person shooter instead. It was more focused on shooting, looting, and, like, building bases and shit. I thought, like, the dialogue system was, like, so much worse than any other, like, Bethesda game they did. Like, you don't really, like, choose anything. Like, you have 4 options, but your main character talks. So a lot of your choices are really limited, and I just really didn't like that. I mean, I still don't like that, but and I don't know. All that stuff really turned me away from the game, and I only really played like 10-ish hours of it when I first played it like 9 years ago, and I'm just like, this isn't really for me. Then I tried it again a few years ago, and I still didn't really like it, so then I stopped. So this time I'm like, okay, for sure, this time I'm gonna play it, and I'm gonna try to do as much as I can. Like I want to do everything, well, not everything, but I do want to do all the major content in the game, so I finally have a good opinion of Fallout 4. And right now I'm really enjoying the game. So I kind of like just accepted that, it's not really like an RPG per se. Like, the RPG mechanics are a lot more stripped down. Like, yeah, like you level up and stuff, but you don't really get any skills or anything. You get perks still, but like they work like kind of like any other game with an upgrade system at this point. Like honestly, like a Ubisoft game is as much of an RPG as this game is, like, yeah, you pick some skills or whatever, but you can't really build a character as much as you can in like the older games, whereas like your decisions really mattered on what you're building your character to be. This one, your character could do whatever. Like you could pick whatever, you could raise any special stat, you could do whatever. And I don't know, to me that kind of like ruins a lot of like what makes it like an RPG, but it's still fun, so whatever. And the other negative is still the dialogue system and stuff. Like the main character talking literally adds nothing to the game at all. And all it does is remove options for you to say things to NPCs. And talking to an NPC always feels like the same thing. Like you could ask one question, you could give like a sarcastic yes or a no. Like it's so bare bones, and I hate it. I'm happy Starfield got rid of that to make the dialogue system like how New Vegas and Fallout 3 were, because that's like way better to me. But besides all of that, me looking past those flaws, I think the game is still a lot of fun. Like the shooting is probably the best shooting Bethesda has made. All the guns feel great. Blowing people's heads off feel good. And I think that's what Starfield was missing, was like blood and shit. I don't know. I feel like a psychopath, but whenever a gun like gibs people, like it feels good to do that shit. And Fallout, you could do that. And Starfield, whenever you shoot someone with like a shotgun, they kind of just get like blasted away, but like no gore or anything isn't really in that game, so it doesn't really feel as impactful. This game, all the weapons have that, and the gunplay just feels good. The exploration is a lot of fun as well. Every like dungeon is handcrafted, and there's like different things going on once you're in a place. So you could find like audio logs and computer terminals showing you what happened. And I feel like that's what Starfield was missing a lot of as well, since a lot of that game was just randomly generated. So you got like a lot of randomly generated dungeons that meant fucking nothing, because it's like there's no world building happening here. Like it's just like you go to a dungeon, you level up, you get some gear, and you leave. And like that's fine, but I still want to be like immersed in the world and like have a reason why this structure exists, right? So like I would explore like a sewer in Fallout 4, and there's like a whole storyline happening in there. In Starfield, it would just be like, this is like a video game dungeon you do to get levels and get weapons, and then you leave. And it really made me appreciate how exploration really is the heart of any Bethesda game. If you don't have that, like Starfield is really shallow with that, then I feel like the game really just falls flat. Even though I think the quests in Starfield are better, I feel like without that exploration and handcrafted stuff in the older Bethesda games, then the game just kind of falls flat. But yeah, overall, I've been really enjoying Fallout 4, and I'm kind of happy that I am, because I was kind of afraid, like, am I gonna like this game like the third time in a row, like if me playing it? And yeah, I've been really enjoying it. I put in like I think 10ish hours already into this recent playthrough, and I've been having a good time. So definitely looking forward to seeing how my opinion either evolves, maybe it gets worse over time. I don't really know. Now I'm starting to get a lot of quests now, because the first few hours of the game were very like not quest centric. So now I'm starting to get a lot more quests. I'm going to see how those stories go and stuff. But yeah, I've been enjoying the game quite a bit. So we'll see how that evolves as I talk about more later. So yeah.
All right, so now let's get into the meat of the show, which is the news. So we're going to start off things strong with Star Wars Outlaws story trailer. You might think that this is just another normal story trailer, but there's a lot of controversy surrounding the various editions and the season pass. So we'll get into that after we talk about the trailer itself. I mean, I feel like this is the second time that we're seeing the game. So, getting a better idea of what's happening within the game itself, I mean, that's fine. We get a better idea of who our main character is and sort of what she's doing within this world. And yeah, I mean, so far so good. It's going to launch on August 30th, 2024, which is a lot sooner than I think most people expected. But yeah, looking forward to it until the other stuff happened. Then and then I'll talk about it.
Yeah, like I think Ubisoft is like kind of like, I don't really hate Ubisoft. Like, I think a lot of people give them a lot of shit, and they deserve it. Like, I'm not saying they don't. But usually I think their games are fun. Like, I like Far Cry. I don't really play Assassin's Creed, but like Rayman, I like obviously. Mario and Rabbids, Prince of Persia, like all their games, like they have like good qualities to them. Unlike, you know, some other AAA companies where like, yeah, they do feel more, I don't know, like not as inspired. Like I feel like Ubisoft does have good bones to them, like a lot of their games, but you know, they kind of get ruined by, you know, all the stuff we're going to talk about right now, you know, just like microtransactions, like all the season pass shit. Like I think that's the things that really kill a lot of Ubisoft games to people, because I think most of the games are like pretty fun. Like you have to be in the mood for it, because yes, it is very like open world stuff, like you go to the point and then you do the thing, but that could be enjoyable sometimes. I don't know, like I like a Far Cry every now and then. So, and Star Wars Outlaws looks like it's going to be that, but with I almost said StarCraft, sorry, Star Wars flavor to it. And I'm down for that. You know, if the game is good, obviously I'm not going to pre-order it or anything. I'm going to wait for reviews to see how it is. But, you know, I think the game itself looks promising. Like, you know, the game looks great graphically. I really like that you're a smuggler and you're just exploring all these different planets and stuff. Like, all of that looks really cool. But, you know, it's all this stuff we're going to talk about right now that kind of makes me hesitant to, like, you know, get into it right away. So, obviously you need to have an internet connection. You have to install the disc, so you basically like don't physically own the game, basically. And I think Ubisoft already said like this was like a few months ago, I think, but this is like get ready to like not basically own any games anymore. And then people are, you know, doing that like, oh well, we could just pirate it because we don't own it, right? So, you know, that's like a whole thing happening right now. And you know, we also have the thing with the editions and season passes, which is what they really like to do. So if you pre-ordered the game for like $120 or something, you could play the game early. And like just looking at this is such a mess, because you have like the standard edition, the gold edition, the ultimate edition, then you have the day one with Ubisoft Plus edition and shit. So yeah, and this is a trend I really hate in modern gaming, is you could play the game early shit. I'm like, so the game is supposed to come out on the Tuesday, like games usually do, but it's like, oh, we're gonna make you pay like an extra $30 so you could do that. So if not, you have to wait till like Friday to play it, and that shit is so stupid. That's the thing that gets me the most annoyed, because I'm like, why? It's the most like annoying thing, and I hate it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Ubisoft have been guilty of doing their like 20 different editions for years now. I think it was one of the Assassin's Creed games where I remember seeing like that chart, and it looks so confusing because like certain things are part of one edition and other things aren't in another one, even though it's a lot higher tier, whatever. But with them trying to get players in for an extra, I believe it's what, $40, and you could get it for 3 days early. That is ridiculous. I mean, you do get the season pass, but even then it's like, why is there a season pass? Is the season pass for future DLC? Then it's like, oh, okay, yeah, then like, I guess that's okay. But already having DLC planned for your game is also sometimes a little fishy. The one example that I can think of right now on the top of my head that was fine was the Spider-Man 2018 game, where they had the City That Never Sleeps DLC, which was pretty much just like 3 separate chapters that all kind of interconnected at the end, but it was kind of sloppily done. You know, like that was fine. That was okay. It was like kind of harmless DLC at the end of the day. But when you label it as like a season pass, I think that rubs a lot of people the wrong way, because when people think of a season pass, they think of it as like a big long season thing, you know. But also just having like the 3 day early access, just like you, Damian, I'm tired of this shit, you know, because it's just like, you know, I feel like if you're going to give players early access, you shouldn't have it behind like such a huge paywall. I think that maybe having it as like maybe like a pre-order bonus, like if you pre-order it digitally, you can play it 3 days early, and you have like up until this amount of time to do it, maybe before the month of August starts or whatever, then you will get those 3 day earlies because you pre-ordered or whatever. But having it behind like a $40 paywall, and then on top of that, there's another higher edition that gives you a bunch of DLC skins and a digital art book. Who the hell cares about a goddamn digital art book? Are you actually going to go through that more than once? I feel like art books are more for like a physical medium. When you have it digitally, it's like no one's ever going to go through that or go out of their way to go through it. People are probably just going to upload it online and then look at it like that, because it's like, why am I going to pay the extra money to do that?
Yeah, like usually I don't mind like season passes, like, you know, because I like DLC in games, you know, like if they're good, right? Like if they're good pieces of content, like then I don't mind them existing.
Yeah.
But usually the 3 day like early access thing is like really annoying. I don't like that, and it's been like a trend that's been happening a lot lately, and it just seems like an extra incentive to get people to like buy that season pass thing. Because, you know, I think back in the 360 days, you know, people would actually buy those DLCs, like, you know, like you know, like those season pass DLCs and stuff. I think lately, like a lot less people have been buying those. So it's just like, okay, well, we could attach it to like a 3-day early access thing to get more people to buy it. And that's just so stupid, and I hate it. So yeah, it's just like, so it's like the ultimate, like that's like the greediest, like it just so like you could tell it's just like an easy thing they could do for an extra like $40. I'm like, all right,
Yeah, which is pretty much more than half the cost of the base game already. Like you're paying $40 for 3 days, which is more than $10 a day. So you better finish the game within those 3 days, or else it's like, well, I paid $40 for what, kind of thing. But also just having that thing where you have to install the game with a internet connection is like, okay, yeah, like that goddamn sucks. My thought process around it, because obviously like I'm like a full like physical media kind of guy, like I'm probably not gonna buy this game physically if like that's the case, because then it's like the disc itself is like goddamn useless. You need an internet connection to install it. Then like what's the actual point of this disc? I feel like game studios may have been hiding this sort of loophole in there, maybe, I don't know, because I feel like when I bought the 2 Call of Duties ago, I think it was Modern Warfare 2 or whatever, that install was still like massive. And I think a lot of games, when you still buy the disc, you're still installing a mass amount of it. But even then, it's like you have to have an internet connection to now install the disc. I don't know. It seems kind of weird or whatever. But I know Ubisoft, they don't like physical disc anymore or whatever. Like they just hate it. So
yeah, it's just like, because the whole point of buying a physical game is to like just pop it in and play it. Yeah, like you don't want to like download the game, and then what's the fucking point? Like, the whole point is so like people with like bad internet could just like play the game, or you could just own the game because it's on the disc, right? And without those points, is like, what's the point of physical media besides like the box, right? And I'm sure obviously people like the box, but they also want to have the game. So without all of that, then like what's even the point? So. Yeah, again, for me, I don't really buy too much physical like games on PlayStation anymore, just because it's just like I'm lazy. But I could see how that's such a big problem to people that actually like still care about physical media, and I could see how they're just trying to phase it out from gaming, or at least they're forcing it out.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would have been a lot better if they just did like a full digital release, just like what Alan Wake 2 did. Like, I think that had a lot of flack to begin with, but they had a good explanation for it. And I think that Ubisoft is just like, well, we're greedy enough where we're like, we kind of still want a physical presence in stores. So we're just going to have like a disc that sort of just like gives you access to install the game that you need an internet connection for. So yeah, that's just my thought process, because it's just like there's so much flack around this game now just by how it's getting released. And on top of that, the Jabba the Hutt missions are locked behind the season pass, which is another thing that people are upset about, because it's like, well, like obviously like they're sort of having it as like DLC, but if it's like Jabba the Hutt, like a pretty iconic Star Wars character, and his missions are locked behind the season pass, then obviously people are going to be upset. And Ubisoft did a response to IGN where they pretty much said that, Jabba the Hutt and the Hutt Cartel are part of the Star Wars Outlaws experience, and everyone will be able to experience that. But I guess these optional missions, you won't be able to experience unless you buy the season pass alone, which I don't even know how much that is to begin with.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of what I think when Hogwarts Legacy came out, there was also like a stink of it being like there was like some locked quest lines behind like I think PlayStation only stuff or something. So doing stuff like that is just like really annoying, because like just give people what they want, especially if it's already in the game already. Like you might as well just put it in, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is definitely very annoying that people within 2024, today, that they are still buying games that they are incomplete. I watched a video by Pete Dorr recently where he talked about this whole situation, and he's very much following like the retro game, I guess, like market, and sort of seeing how like games are spiking up and down. Xbox 360 games are going up there because of the whole Xbox marketplace shutting down soon. That's a whole other topic. But anyways, he's pretty much just being like, well, like this is why people are going back to try to buy and play a lot of these older games, because they just buy it and then it's the full game. Like it's all on that disc or whatever. And seeing what Ubisoft is doing with Star Wars Outlaws, the first ever open world Star Wars game, it's like, this is kind of egregious, because, a lot of people are going to want to play this game. I kind of want to play this game as like a somewhat Star Wars fan. I don't follow it too closely, but I want to see what they could do with this formula and sort of see what this game story is also going to be about. But the way that they're sort of presenting it to us and how they're going about it, it just puts a bad taste in my mouth. And I might buy it at launch. I don't know. It really does depend on how good the game is. If it's not having flying colors of like 9s and 10s across the board, then I might just skip it.
Yeah, I mean, it also is the point where like Ubisoft games also like go on sale very, very quickly. Like,
Yes.
I don't really see the point in like buying this. Like, I bought the Prince of Persia game for like $30 already because it already went super on sale. But that's like every Ubisoft game. Like, I also want to play the Avatar game because I heard like, yeah, it's pretty good. But I know that shit's gonna go on sale so fast. It's already like $40. Like, and I'm waiting for it to be like 30, and then I'm gonna pick it up. Like, there's really like no point in buying Ubisoft games at launch because they go on sale so fast. Like, that's like every Ubisoft game too. Even if the game sells well, they put that shit on sale so fast. So I'm just gonna wait, like maybe until like November, and it's probably gonna be like $30. And
Yeah, Black Friday.
Then I'll pick it up. So yeah.
Right.
But yeah.
So you
Now
can take this next one.
Yeah, so now Nintendo did their Indie World Showcase, and a lot of disappointed Hollow Knight fans are sad because Silk Song was not announced. But we got a bunch of other good games. Like the ones that really caught my eye are ANTONBLAST. So this is sort of a WarioWare 4 inspired game. So if you play that game, it basically looks exactly like that, except it's not Wario, it's Anton. So, and actually I've been like not following this game, but I have been like, looking at this game for the past few years. Like it's been in development for a very long time. And this like sort of like extended look at it, and it looks great. Like I think they nailed the GBA aesthetic like really well. Like all the cutscenes look really nice, the voice acting, the animations, like it all looks very wacky and what you expect from a Wario like inspired game to look like. And yeah, the game looks very fun and frantic and just how a Wario game would be. And I like how all these like the two indie developers, like the Pizza Tower people and this guy, are just like, well, if Nintendo's not gonna do a Wario game, we might as well do one. And yeah, the game looks great. I mean, I really like Pizza Tower that came out like last year, and that was also a Wario Land like inspired game. So I'm excited to play like another one because they're a ton of fun. Those games are all about speed as well. Like you're all just speeding through the level, going fucking fast as shit, and it just looks like a good time. So definitely excited for that one. You want to talk about a game from here?
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm looking forward to ANTONBLAST as well. I mean, this is my first time ever seeing the game, and immediately I was like, this shit looks like Wario Land.
Yeah.
And ironically enough, over like the past month, I've been like looking on eBay to like maybe potentially buy those games. And then I remembered that I have the Nintendo Ambassador for the 3DS, so I could play Wario Land 4 on the GBA, which is one of the more expensive games in that series. But yeah, I mean, it looks very much like a spiritual successor to that, and I cannot wait to check it out, whether it's on the Switch or another platform on November or later this year. Steam has it for November 12th, but it's going to be a timed console exclusive. So I'm not sure if it's going to release on that day or maybe even earlier, but just look forward to that game releasing sometime later this year. The next game I guess I'll talk about is the first game that they showed, which was Little Kitty Big City. It looks like a, sort of like a wholesome, cute little like platformer that you're kind of just like doing things as a cat. I don't know if it's like similar to Stray because I haven't played Stray. I've only seen trailers and gameplay of it, but it just seems like a much more cuter, wholesome version of that for kids kind of thing. So
Yeah, it looks nice. Like I know there's a lot of indie games that have like the cats sort of thing going on, like Stray or whatever. And maybe because like I never owned a cat, I like don't care as much, but it still looks cute.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. I guess the next game that really caught me off guard was the TMNT game, Splintered Fate. So this is a new TMNT game, another new one. They've been going kind of nuts with the TMNT stuff lately. And this is a TMNT roguelite, which is pretty interesting. So it's sort of like an isometric looking beat 'em up that you could play with 4 friends. So it kind of looks like Hades, but if it was like with 4 people and with Ninja Turtles, and you could go do a run, you collect these things called artifacts, which I guess power you up throughout the run. And then once you die, you could like level up in your base to get more permanent upgrades and stuff. So pretty basic looking roguelike mechanics, but it looks like a lot of fun. There's 4 different turtles. I don't know if there's going to be other playable characters. I don't know if Splinter is playable or like Casey Jones or whatever, but yeah, the 4 turtles, it's drop in, drop out co-op, it's online as well, which is nice. So, and it's going to be a Switch time exclusive as well. But yeah, TMNT roguelite is not what I expected. It looks like there's like a decent amount of effort put into it. Like it looks nice, and the gameplay looks pretty good as well. So I'm excited. I like TMNT and I like roguelites. So I'm excited to see how this does. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, funny thing about this is it came out last year on Apple
Wait.
Arcade exclusive.
Oh, did it?
Yes.
Okay.
So the fact that it is coming to console is kind of crazy. So now that it is out of that sort of Apple Arcade hellhole, if you will, and you can now actually own the game on Nintendo Switch for a timed exclusive, and then it'll go on PC and other consoles at a later date. But yeah, I mean, I've been looking at this game for a while now, and I did want to play it when I had that little time subscription for Sonic Dream Team, which, you know, it does give Sonic fans hope that maybe one day Sonic Dream Team will go on console or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I'm interested to try this game out. I'm not a big roguelike like you, Damian, sort of player, if you will. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going to try this one just because it looks very good, very fun. It has the sort of TMNT aesthetic to it, and I cannot wait to dive into this one when it comes out, I believe, later this year in July. So
yeah. So it comes out pretty soon. I mean, I'm not like, I don't know if I'll probably wait for it to come out on another platform, but we'll see. Because, you know, at this point, I'm just like, the Switch is old.
Yes, the Switch is old, but you know what? Porting over a Apple Arcade game, how hard could that be, right?
Hey, look, that gives fans, for any Sonic fans that want to play Dream Team, then I told you it probably wasn't going to stay exactly on there. So, you know, yeah.
Next game I want to talk about is another Crab's Treasure. This just looks like a funny, goofy 3D platformer with a crab just walking around in the sea looking for treasure or whatever. It's going to come out later this month on April 25th on pretty much every single platform, including Switch. But yeah, I mean, it just looks very funny, but also like a very solid like 3D platformer. I might check it out. Who knows? You know, there's a lot more of these coming out, I feel, as of recently. So we'll see what my time allows when it comes out.
You know, I'm like confused because there was another crab game coming out that's like a roguelite. I don't know if it's not a roguelite, a Souls-like. And I forget if it was this one or not. There's too many crab games coming out. So actually, is this the one I'm thinking of? I don't even know.
Think so. I think I know which one you're talking about. It's the one with like the guns and whatnot, right? Or whatever.
No, that's a roguelite. Oh no, I'm gonna look. It's right here. No. Okay, this is the Dark Souls crab game. Yeah. So
okay.
Yeah, this is like, yeah, it's a crab game, but it's Dark Souls, and you fight other sea creatures. Actually, looks pretty cute. You know, it's a nice little lighthearted spin, I guess, on like the Dark Souls genre. Since, you know, most Souls likes are more like gritty and like everything is hopeless and shit. This is more like cartoony and wacky. So I think that's pretty cute. I mean, I'm not like the biggest like Souls like fan, so like, I don't think I'll play it, but it does look solid enough. And I remember when they showed some gameplay for it like a few months ago. They dropped it at the same time that the Elden Ring DLC came out, and then like, oh shit. So that was funny. But yeah, it looks pretty fun. And I guess like sort of like the last thing I really want to talk about is SteamWorld Heist 2. So, you know, the SteamWorld series is really interesting because they like to do a lot of different genres. So we have like the roguelite stuff with SteamWorld Dig. SteamWorld Heist is more like a tactics game. And then they just released SteamWorld, like the city builder one. I forgot what exactly it was called, but that one came out pretty recently as well. And this is a sequel to SteamWorld Heist 2. And I believe this was for like 3DS and shit. I forgot, but it was on like previous consoles, and people really liked it a lot. I personally never played it, but it looks like it's going to be a good time as well. So I'm happy to see them sort of continuing with this sub-series of SteamWorld, and we'll see if they do another SteamWorld. I know Dig is kind of like the fan favorite one, so we'll see what they do with that. But yeah, it looks like a good time as well.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've actually heard about this series, so it's nice to see them continue it. It's going to come out later this year on August 8th. And then I guess the last game I quickly want to mention is Yars Rising. This is WayForward's next game, and it's published by Atari. It looks like a Mega Man game, kind of, but not really. It has like that gameplay of Mega Man, but it looks very different from it. I mean, I want to see how, you know, WayForward can still do it in terms of like the indie game space, because I know that they've obviously have been making games for years and years and years now. But, you know, this one looks pretty interesting.
Yeah, it looks pretty good as well. I mean, there's like a ton of like indie games here that do look a lot of fun, but, you know, I feel like I'm like Monkey Brain. Is like some of them just appeal to me more. Like I don't mind. Like there's a lot of ones that are more like either cutesy or they look more like walkie simmy and stuff. And like those are fine, but I definitely like the ones that are more like, yeah, this is like we're gaming now. Like you just beat shit up. So, but yeah, it's still a good time. I know I'm kind of sad that Silksong isn't announced yet, because like that's the only thing people want from these indie worlds, and it kind of sucks when like these developers are like talking about the game and like the only thing chat's talking about is like Silksong. So hopefully that game comes out soon, because like I feel like every other indie release is sort of just like getting shitted on because it's not Silksong. So but I guess I'll see when that game actually fucking comes out. So yeah.
All right, but we'll move on from there. We got a big bomb within the Sonic 3 movie news space. We got Keanu Reeves has been officially cast as Shadow the Hedgehog. It's official. We now have a voice attached to Shadow, and it is a pretty big name celebrity, Keanu Reeves. He is one of the many fan casts that people were hoping to get within this role for Shadow. And I mean, I'm happy with it. I think a lot of the Sonic community are content with it. You know, some people may have wanted Hayden Christensen or maybe even Jason Griffith to come back. But, you know, I think Keanu Reeves is like a big star attached to this Sonic movie. You're going to get a lot more seats in there. You know, Idris Elba was already like a big star to have in as Knuckles, but now we got Keanu Reeves as Shadow. I'm all in for it. I'm very happy with this casting choice, and I cannot wait to see what he can pull off within the first trailer that'll hopefully come out within the next coming months.
It's like, now I really want him to have a gun. I know he's not going to have a gun, but I do want to see him go like, oh, John Wick. That would be very funny. But yeah, I think this is a really good casting choice. Honestly, a lot of casting in the Sonic movies have been like really good. I think every actor has been nailing like their role in the Sonic verse, I guess. And I know Keanu Reeves was like one I kept seeing that people wanted as Shadow. Like you said, like there was a few others, like I know people wanted Robert Patterson as well as Shadow. I kept seeing that. So like there was a lot of different people that people wanted as Shadow, but Keanu Reeves was definitely one I kept seeing a lot, and him actually being Shadow is pretty crazy. So I'm interested to see how he's gonna do a Shadow voice. Like I don't know if he's gonna talk a lot, because Keanu doesn't really talk too much in like the roles he's in. So I'm interested to see how he does. I mean, I thought he was good in like things like Cyberpunk, where it's a lot more dialogue heavy. You know, I really liked him in that. And it's funny how Idris Elba is also in Cyberpunk, so they're both in this too. So that's just a funny little coincidence there. But yeah, I'm definitely. I just want to see a trailer, right? Like I just want to see how this is gonna work out. Like I think the newest trailer they showed in the CinemaCon or whatever the fuck that thing is called. I don't think Shadow talked in that, apparently, from all the transcripts that people were writing up about that trailer. So I think we're still gonna have to wait for, you know, a time when Shadow actually talks. I am really curious to see how he's going to pull off a Shadow, because, you know, Shadow has a very particular voice to me, and I feel like the ones that really nailed it were like, you know, Jason Griffin, because I was like used to his Shadow voice, and the Sonic Prime voice actor also did a really good job as Shadow. So definitely not the newest game voice guy. Like I got like no hate to him, but I really don't like his Shadow voice. So I guess anything's better than that. So definitely excited though. Like Sonic 3 is really shaping up to be a really hype movie, and I'm excited to see how they're gonna like kind of either lean into the Sonic Adventure 2 stuff, or maybe like lean into other stuff, like maybe like a spin-off show. I mean, Shadow is definitely gonna get a spin-off show at this point. I think I think it's just gonna happen at this point. So I guess we'll see how that's gonna sort of evolve in the Sonic verse and shit. So and honestly, I feel like this is kind of the way to go for this is kind of a tangent, but I think this is kind of way to go for cinematic universes now. I feel like the way, you know, people got really burnt out with the MCU just because there was so many projects at once. And things like the Monsterverse and with the Sonic verse, I guess now, is that there's not too many projects every year. Like maybe like every 4 years is a new movie. So by the time that happens, people are excited to see what happens next in this like weird universe, right? And I think having a TV show is fine. Just like don't oversaturate it, right? Like they don't have like 2 or 3 movies a year, because then people get sick of it. I think like having like one movie every few years and keeping like the ongoing story going, I think that seems like the way to do a cinematic universe at this point, rather than just like having like multiple movies a year, right? Because people just get super burnt out, especially with all the TV shows for the MCU, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you. With the Knuckles show coming out later this month, I think people are very much excited for that, not just because, you know, it'll lead into Sonic 3 a little bit, but also because that show has been in development for a while now. And if we do get a Shadow show and Keanu Reeves does return to play Shadow, I think a lot of people will be interested in it. Just based on, you know, how much eggs they're putting into Sonic 3, the movie as a whole. It's like, okay, yeah, like this movie has to do double, if not triple times better than what Sonic 2 did, because Sonic 2 was already like a big success as is. It was like one of the first movies that people watched after like the pandemic was over, if you will. And that was like one of the last movies that people watched before the pandemic started. So, you know, it was kind of like a nice loop for those individuals and to see what Sonic 3 is going to shape up as. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I think that, like you said, with the whole cinematic universe, sort of how you should structure it within 2024, I think that that is valid. Not having too many projects at once, because I feel like, this also comes down to, I guess, what one of the Fallout people said, where it was like, it sucks when things drop all at once. Oh, no. The Scott Pilgrim. Yeah. He said that it sucked that Netflix dropped everything all at once, because X-Men 97 is going on right now week to week and people are continuously talking about it. Imagine if that happened for Scott Pilgrim. Like, I think that, the conversation would keep going, the hype would keep going. And I think that we as a society, it's sort of like as, I guess, like people like consuming media, right?
Right,
where it's like, we have moved past the binging thing, because people don't have enough time to binge things all at once. Everyone's going to finish a show. If it all drops at once, everyone's going to finish it at different paces. But if episodes come out week by week, you're kind of forcing everyone to be on the same page. And I think that that's a lot better. And I guess maybe it was because we were younger back then, where we could just binge these shows within a day and have like no repercussions for it. Nowadays, it's like we got jobs, we got like other things going on within our lives, where it's like these things are more important than us binging this show that comes out on this particular day, right? And I think that a lot of people are in that same boat, where it's like we can't, sort of appease to these services that are dropping these shows all at once and then be on the same page as everyone, where it's like, oh my God, like the show is so goddamn good. Because I feel like if Fallout was coming out week to week, I think a lot more people would be talking about it. But because it all dropped at once, you are hearing, like little spurts of people talking about it. Oh my God, the show's so good. And then you're slowly getting more people to hop on it. But, if it was week to week, it would definitely be a lot more successful. But going back onto the point of building a cinematic universe these days, yes, I think that it is good to have fewer and more higher quality projects than just dropping 5 or 6 within a few years or whatever.
Yeah, and with the week to week thing is also like most like Western shows are like an hour long. Like I'm not gonna like binge like 8 hours of a thing, right? Like I feel like I could do 1 or 2 because I'm like watching basically 2 movies because they're like a fucking hour. So after that, I'm like, okay, I think I'm done for today. Like I could watch 2 max and then I'll wait the next day. So like, yeah, I feel like week to week is probably just better for engagement. And I think a lot of studios are going to see that, oh yeah, we probably should just keep things week to week now because it keeps the interest in the show higher. People are talking about it more and more people would buy like subscriptions to like Peacock or whatever. So like I think we're going to start seeing a shift away from binging culture into a more week to week thing because I think it's just better for like for the companies making the shows because more people are talking about it, and it's probably just better for like the overall discussion of episodes because I think we're gonna get into it when we talk about Fallout, but I feel like it would probably benefit like more the mystery of that show if it was a week to week thing and people had to like speculate throughout the week and stuff because it's more exciting that way. But yeah, we'll talk about that more when we talk about Fallout. But yeah, anyway, what we're talking about.
Next thing we gotta talk about with the Sonic movies is that they're gonna become Avengers level events as one person that's a producer for the Sonic movies puts it. And I mean, if the Sonic movies are gonna be as big and as hype as Sonic 3 and every single movie going forward or every single show going forward or whatever is gonna be as hype and as big, I mean, sure, fuck it, go for it. At least try for it. I mean, I'm not gonna say don't do that because like we're past the point of Sonic being like this sort of I guess fish out of water thing where he's like, what the hell is this real world or whatever, like we're sort of getting comfortable within like the CG, Sonic, Tails, Knuckles sort of interacting, doing funny little adventures or whatever. And honestly, I'm all down for it. It's just about if they can nail it, which I think they can, because like we just said, they're taking their time sort of developing these characters in sort of this world of Sonic. And I think that a lot of the community is sort of getting it and they very much enjoy what they're doing for these characters. So, if like Sonic 4, they're going to do, I don't know, like Silver the Hedgehog or Blaze the Cat or Sonic 06 in general, like I don't care. As long as they nail it right and they, change things up because obviously like that game's story is not the greatest, that's all I want is for them to continue to nail this cinematic universe version of Sonic.
Yeah, so like I just hope they don't like get muddied in it and like they kind of just keep developing the characters because it's weird because the games or not the games, I'm sorry, the movies are like still not like very serious. So, they're still comedic and stuff. So I feel like when you want to have a more serious moment, like you're gonna have to like pick like if you want to be more serious or whatever. And I feel like it's gonna be kind of weird. So we'll see how to do a cinematic universe. I'm very curious to see how to do it. Like I feel like the Monsterverse works a bit more for this situation because there's more things going on. For Sonic, like is like I kind of just focus on Sonic and shit, and like for the Monsterverse you can focus on a lot of different things. Besides Godzilla and Kong or whatever. So I'm really interested to see how they're gonna evolve this and make it so people actually do care for it to be an Avengers level event. Because Sonic is popular, but it still is like the movies seem more like it's still like more for kids, right? It's just like it's just like a kids thing. So I'm wondering how they're gonna manage that, but I'm excited to see it either way. I mean, I feel like this movie Sonic 3 is gonna be like probably the apex of whatever these movies hype is gonna be, because I feel like you can't get more hype than like having Shadow and probably like Final Hazard and shit, right? Because that's probably how it's gonna end. So like I don't know of any other character you can introduce that would be as hype as this. Like like Metal Sonic maybe, I guess, but like it's definitely gonna be Shadow's like the hype for it. And I didn't even expect them to put Shadow for this movie. I was fully expecting like Chaos or Metal Sonic as well. Like I was not expecting Shadow. I thought we were gonna save him for later. So hopefully they're not jumping the gun too much on this, but I guess we'll see. Either way, I'm very excited for Sonic 3, and I just want a fucking trailer, Remy. Goddamn. All right, so next for movies, we got TMNT, The Last Ronin, is getting an R-rated live-action movie. So, Last Ronin is known for being, violent and, like, more for adults. What I didn't expect it was for them to make a movie about it, because we already knew they were making a game. I believe Purple Lamp Studio. No, not Purple Lamp. The people that made the Destroy Humans games remakes were making the AAA Last Ronin game. But we don't really know how that's going to work anymore because there was a lot of cuts and layoffs and stuff. So we don't know how the game is going to go. So I guess we'll see for that. But it looks like we are getting a movie about this graphic novel. And, like you said, I heard nothing but good things about this graphic novel, as you have told me many times. And, I'm very excited to see how they kind of make this into a movie, especially being live action and rated R. The last live action Turtles movies we got were the Bay movies, and those movies were okay. Like, honestly, I don't hate them as much as other people do. Like, I thought the second one was fine. The first one wasn't very good, but like they were fine. So we'll see how this one turns out. I'm really curious to see how the turtles are going to be designed in this. Like if they're going to be more for like that comic accurate style, or they're going to go more for the realistic Bay sort of look. I'm very curious to see how that's going to work. And I'm also curious to see like how the audience reaction is going to be to this. Because, I feel like for you and me, it's just like, the turtles like first originated in more graphic novels and stuff, like, they were more violent and like stuff was happening before they became more, kid friendly and stuff. So I'm wondering how the general audience would be like if they're gonna view this more as like a shock thing. It's like, oh, it's like fucking the Winnie the Pooh horror movie where it's like like, oh, they made the TMNT like violent and stuff, but it's like an actual like good piece of fiction here. So I do wonder how they're gonna avoid that sort of situation, because I consider this movie bombing just because like what the fuck, why is a TMNT movie like rated R, so but either way, I'm excited for it. Hopefully it turns out good, but I guess we'll see when it becomes more in development.
I mean, TMNT The Last Ronin has quickly become a very famous story within the TMNT universe. You had Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird come back and write this story, and this is one that is very, very good, very, very bloody, R-rated. The premise is pretty much 3 of the turtles die, and the last one standing is trying to get revenge for Shredder killing pretty much everyone that they know and love. And you're just following that story. You're following that journey throughout this sort of mini series that they have. And I think that they're doing a Last Ronin 2 comic book series. So I don't know if that's out yet or when it's coming out, but for this story in and of itself to get so many, adaptations from a game to now a live action movie, I think that I'm all here for it. Obviously, all I want for them is to nail it. Like you said, the last live action stuff that they did was the Michael Bay movies, which I haven't watched the second one. I watched the first one. I thought it was fine. Definitely could have been better, but I'll take it. And a lot of people love the original 90s sort of live action movies because those were, practical. They had the suits. The first 2 movies in particular are very, very good. The third one, not so much, but hey. So for them to dip their toes back into the live action space and to them have it be a Last Ronin story, I'm just going to have to wait and see if I can actually believe that they can actually pull it off, because obviously there's a lot of factors here that can go wrong, not just from the live action segment, but also just like how are they going to adapt this story to make it fit for general audiences who may not even know that there's a TMNT story called The Last Ronin that's R-rated, that is very much violent, bloody, gory, that has 3 of the turtles die in it, and how are they going to adapt that into a film for the mass audiences? So I'm interested. Obviously, I just hope that they are able to pull it off. Do I have my faith in it? Kind of, not really. But hopefully it all pans out, because obviously Paramount is sort of capitalizing on the TMNT hype train as of late. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's good, it's fine. If not, I will just read the graphic novel. So,
which is still very, very good. I only read it within the past 6 months or a year or so. And yeah, I can't believe I didn't read it sooner. Next thing we got here is Avatar: The Last Airbender, the animated movie, where they are adults. They have casted their adult Aang, which is going to be Eric Nam, and they've casted their villain, Dave Bautista. They've also casted some other actors, such as Dion Kwan, Jessica Matten, and Roman Zaragoza. Hopefully I pronounced their names right, but they haven't been officially cast or whatever. Those 3 actors, respectively, they're going to play Toph, Katara, and Sokka. And I believe the original Zuko actor is supposed to return. He's the only one that's going to be returning. I think that they made that choice a while ago, where they were like, we're going to recast everyone for this movie because they're now adults. I think a lot of people would have liked to see the original cast return, but I think some of them may not know that the original Aang voice actor quit acting. So that's kind of impossible to do. So there was going to be a recast somewhere anyways. Eric Nam, I do follow his music a little bit. There was some controversy about him being a Zionist, but I think he cleared that up, and some people may have not seen that or forgotten about that, but he's not very much a voice actor. So I'm kind of questioning why they casted him. I hope that he does a good job either way. After watching the Trash Taste episode on Alex Lee and sort of him talking about his journey of him becoming a voice actor, because he's just a year younger than us, Damian, and he's in
that's crazy.
He's in everything. He's in Persona Reload. Yeah. He's in Solo Leveling. He's in Demon Slayer. Like Street he's Fighter, in everything. Yeah, Street Fighter. So just hearing his story and sort of how he became a voice actor and sort of what he does in terms of getting these roles and sort of his experience and everything like that. But I hope that Eric Nam is able to deliver a adult Aang voice that people are going to accept. Obviously, Dave Bautista, I don't even have to say anything. He has his own track record. He's a phenomenal actor, and I'm sure that he's going to do well within this villain role.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they could get away with it just because the characters are grown up, so they could kind of change their voices quite a bit, especially Aang, because he was really young. So they'd be like, okay, yeah, his voice just changed or whatever. Obviously that's going to upset a lot of people, but I feel like a lot of the actors, I don't even know most of them even do stuff anymore besides Zuko's voice actor, which I know he was doing stuff, I believe, still. I think I read that Toph's voice actor still wanted to do it, but she didn't let her. So, but that was the only thing I read. I don't know if that was entirely true. So, but since they're all grown up, I think it's fine to change voices, and especially if this show is very old at this point. They're gonna have to make changes. So as long as they do a good job with the characters and they understand how those characters talk and act, then I think it should be fine. Again, this is probably the Avatar project I'm the most excited for, just because it is a continuation of The Last Airbender, and with the original characters and stuff, and it's animated, and I'm very excited for that. So I really do hope it's good, because I feel like I'm happy that Avatar has been getting a huge push lately to be in different forms of media and stuff, but a lot of it has been kind of falling a bit flat. I know some people like the live action Avatar stuff, but for me, I just feel like, why watch that one? I could just watch the original one. I know they made a game that was kind of shit. What else they did? I mean, Korra itself is really controversial if you even like it or not, which I do like Korra, but I hope this one really nails it out of the park and has that same magic the original series did. After this animated movie, I would love to see the next sort of Avatar series as well, which I think they're already doing. I forget, but I would like to see a new Avatar and new friends and all that shit. New, I think it's supposed to be an Earthbender or Firebender. I don't really know. It has to be either two of those two, because we haven't gotten those two yet. But hopefully the movie's good. That's all I'm really hoping for, because I really do want an Avatar thing that comes out after the original that's as good as the original series. So
yeah, and they formed Avatar Studios back in 2021. So, that was a few years back. So this being their first project that they're going to release is going to be very exciting. I believe today it just got delayed to January 2026, which is completely fine. It's an animated project. You guys got to take your time, make sure that it is correct, done right, because this movie does have the original creators behind it. So I'm sure that they know the importance of this movie for us adults.
All right, and the last thing we have here is, I'm going to butcher this, Joker 2, or Joker Folie de Lux. I believe it's French. How to fight Folie de Dux? I don't really know.
Anyways, we got a teaser trailer for it.
Yeah, Joker 2. I'm just going to call it Joker 2. So we got a teaser trailer for Joker 2, and, if you knew anything about this movie over the past, few years or whatever, it's supposed to be a musical, and has Lady Gaga in it, and we see both of those things happen. And like I told Travis before the podcast, where I actually really do like this trailer. I thought this was a really good trailer. I think it has the same tone as the original Joker did. But, it could be bad just because of the radically different directions going with in terms of being a musical and stuff. But, I think having Lady Gaga there as Harley Quinn, that's pretty cool. I know she's been acting a lot more in a lot more movies, and I think she's pretty good. I haven't really watched her in anything movie wise, but I know she's been taking acting, more seriously over the last few years. And Joaquin Phoenix was great as Joker in the first one, and I'm sure he's going to be great in this one as well. And just the overall vibe of the trailer was really good. It kind of had that same feeling I had when the first Joker trailer came out. That last shot everyone was praising with her with the lipstick and the smile and stuff like that. That was a really good shot as well. So I'm hoping the movie lands, but it being a musical and, just it being a musical is gonna be kind of crazy. So I mean, I'm okay with it. I'm down with it. I'm open to it. But a lot of people won't be, because a lot of people just hate musicals, and it could easily backfire on them if it ends up just not being good. So I do hope it's good, because I love Joker 2019. I know it's kind of a meme now, because we live in a society or whatever, but it is really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be a full-on musical. It's going to have, obviously, song pieces and whatnot, but it's still going to have, I think, the same vibe that Joker 1 was going for. But obviously, if you got Lady Gaga in there, you got to put a few, musical bits here and there. But yeah, I mean, this is a very good trailer. It sort of does give the audience an idea of what's going to happen next, especially if you watch the first Joker movie, and sort of how everything comes into play by introducing Harley Quinn, and how Arthur sort of gets to know her and everything like that. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I really loved Lady Gaga within A Star Is Born. That's one of her best roles by far. And I cannot wait to see what she's able to do within this movie, just based on the fact that the first one was so good and you have most of the people returning for this one. Yeah. Looking forward to it. I believe it's going to be good. If not, at least it'll look good, because obviously there's a lot of great shots within this trailer alone, and sort of some callbacks from the first movie, like when Harley is walking up those same stairs. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, you know what? They are treating this as a sequel as much as they should. So yeah, looking forward to it. I have full faith that it is going to stick the landing.
Yeah, I did too. Joker was a very unexpected hit, I think. So I'm hoping to hit that same magic again, like the first one did, because the first one had such a good vibe to it, as in it was super unsettling the whole fucking time. And I really hope that this movie nails that same vibe, because I don't think I've ever been that uncomfortable watching a movie in a bit, because it's just so fucking unnerving for no reason. But yeah, definitely a great movie, and I'm hoping the sequel lands those same beats.
All right, so now let's get into the last part of the show, which we are going to talk about Fallout Prime series. First, we're going to do a non-spoiler, little segment here. Pretty much, if you don't know anything about the games, or if you know stuff about the games, go watch the show. I mean, this is very, very good. We've already talked about it, or I've talked about it a little bit throughout this show. And yeah, this is a video game adaptation that has really stuck the landing in terms of introducing people who don't know the games, but also people who do know the games, is sort of having little bits and pieces in there to satisfy both audiences. And it just has a really great story. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think as someone who has played the games, I think this is probably the video game adaptation that kind of nails the aesthetic and sort of just the vibe of the games the most, because I feel like most other video game adaptations, while also really good, like Last of Us or the Sonic movies, they take a lot more liberties with stuff, maybe change how the clickers work, or with Sonic, they kind of change how his character works. I feel like this show really sticks the landing with like just the aesthetics of the games and just the world. Like everything is basic. If you played the past Fallout games, you kind of know what's going on here. And it's great. Like the set design is really good. All the in-game items in the show look really good. And it was just a really like great treat to watch. And yeah, I think as a Fallout fan and as someone who I guess like doesn't play Fallout like you, I think we could both recommend the show to basically anyone. So yeah, it's very good.
Has a phenomenal story. So I guess we'll just get into a little bit of spoilers here. If you haven't watched the show, please do not listen to what we're about to say. Or if you don't care, then go for it. But yeah, I mean, the opening episode was just like, it was actually just such a good hook, and sort of having the ghoul character be like a way into the past and sort of have the audience get to see like how did this stuff happen and why this guy is still here. Like obviously like the ghoul is like the best character in the entire show, just because he has so much character development and he has such a intrinsic sort of lineage to the past and sort of how he got there, being able to survive for years and years and years. You know, not to say that Lucy isn't a great character and also Maximus, you know, they are both great in their own right. They have their own stories. You know, I think at certain points within the series, I think some people may not have liked Maximus just because of the dumbass shit that he was doing. And, you know, he wasn't necessarily the smartest, but, you know, like his heart's there and he has the right idea. It's just about how he goes about it is just not it. I think having Lucy McLean be like the sort of vault dweller, sort of how she's characterized before she goes into the, I guess, like real world and sort of see like what the hell is going on here to go and find her dad and everything like that. And just like the story beats, the sort of them like having little, you know, hints about like what's going to happen next and sort of what does this lead to and et cetera, et cetera. It was just all so goddamn good.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that opening sequence was like really good with the bombs fall. Like, I thought Fallout 4 probably had my favorite opening sequence in a Fallout game when they kind of showed like the first bomb drop, and like I thought that was really good. I think this show probably did the best showing like the immediate like carnage that happens with one bomb dropping, then like a shit ton of them dropping. Like, I think that scene of him like riding his horse down like the hill and like all the fucking bombs dropping is like really unsettling. And I'm like, wow, they did a really good job at that. And honestly, the show does a good job being like, it has that good balance of vibes that Fallout kind of has in general, of being like actually terrifying to being having like a really dark sense of humor like the games do. And I think the show really nails that as well, because the show has a lot of funny moments but it's still like extremely violent and like just like really harsh, because that's kind of like the reality everyone lives in. And that kind of goes to all the characters as well. You know, I think Maximus probably is the most controversial character just because like he's not necessarily like a good character like morally throughout the show, but I think that's what makes him like interesting to me, because Lucy's more like, yeah, she's like the good person, right? Like she grew up in the vault, so she's like gonna be like true good, right? Like she like her heart's in the right place. The ghoul is like gonna be more of that just evil, but you kind of know what he's doing it for. Like he has reasons to do all this stuff as we get see the glimpses of the past and stuff. Maximus is sort of like that middle ground where he's doing what the Wasteland basically taught him to do, basically like take any advantage he could get, like, you know, like fight for your own way. Like, you know, when he, you know, cut up his friend's leg because he wanted to be the squire, he did that because that's what he wanted to do. He let the Knight Titus die to get the power armor because like that's what, just like, you guys gotta make your own way in the Wasteland, right?
Wait. Didn't they do that to themselves with the leg thing? Didn't they say that?
So they said that, but I fucking doubt it. Like, I think it's really implied that he's the one that cut up her leg. Like, I do not buy that anyone else did that. But because every time he looks at her, like he just gets very fucking like oh, like yeah, like I think he was the one that fucked the leg up. But that's just my thing. Like I feel like it kind of goes into his whole arc of being like he's doing whatever he can to get what he wants, because that's kind of just how the world is, right? So I don't know. I found his character really interesting, just because like, yeah, morally he does like a lot of wrong things, but Lucy really brings him straight towards the end, and he does do the right things towards the end of the series. So I thought he ended up being like one of the more interesting characters to me, just like from a moral standpoint, even though the ghoul is my favorite one throughout the show, because I mean, come on, he's cool as shit. So but yeah, I really found how the show just went through all the major beats that a Fallout thing would probably go through. So obviously you get the whole vote it actually went a lot more into vote politics than I thought they were going to go into. Like, I didn't think they would touch on the vote experiments or anything like that, since every vote like there's a few control vaults. I'm about like lore dump some stuff, but there's a lot of like vaults. Like there's over 100 some vaults in America, and like, there's a few like control vaults, which are like the vaults that no one fucks with. Like those are just like true Fallout shelters, and then all the other vaults throughout America are experimental vaults, so they do like weird social experiments and stuff. And I wasn't really sure that we're gonna get into that. So when I forgot his name, Norm or whatever, when Lucy's brother was sort of like investigating the vaults, I'm like, oh shit, they're gonna do like the whole vault experiment stuff in this season. I didn't expect that, and sort of learning about that was throughout the end of the series was really cool to see, like them kind of freezing middle managers and then seeing how like what would happen in that vault or whatever. I'm like, that's pretty interesting. So I didn't really expect them to get that into it. To go into all the different factions with the Brotherhood of Steel, the NCR and stuff, and that kind of became controversial with some people on Twitter I've been seeing. But I was just surprised how deep they went into the lore and stuff. I'm like, it was something I didn't expect, So and it seemed they knew what they were talking about too, because this is like apparently the furthest in the timeline throughout all the Fallout stuff. So this everything that's happening now is like canon. So that's kind of cool. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is just so dope that they were able to pull this show off, but also have it be like, I guess like you said, the furthest in the timeline. Because obviously, like me, myself, I don't fucking know anything about Fallout. So me just watching the show, like it just has really good characters, really good storytelling, really good writing as well. Like I feel like every single line, every single character says fits with their sort of personality. Whenever the ghoul's on screen, man, that guy steals the goddamn show. Whether it's in the past or the present, like he knows what he's doing, and I love him for that. And obviously with Lucy, she's very much like teetering towards like what the reality she's currently living in, especially at the end when she realizes that like her dad's like 1,000 of years older or whatever the fuck happened, so it's like, okay, yeah, so he killed the mom because that's what he believed was the right thing to do, when in reality he was kind of just like brainwashed to do it. And I was just like, okay, yeah, like that's fucked up. And then that, I guess, like reveal where it was shown that was the mom's sin there, that fucking corpse.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
Oh my fucking God, man, this show is fucked up. And I love it.
It's really interesting what it did, because that's kind of like the big controversial thing is that towards, at the last episode, they're implying that Vault-Tec was the ones that started the nuclear war. Because before this show, it was implied that China was the one that started the nuclear war. Like they shot the first bomb and then everyone else killed each other. This one's implying that Vault-Tec was the one that first started it. At least it's implying. It doesn't like fully show it. Like they didn't show them dropping the bomb and then everyone else like blew each other up. But it's kind of implying that, because to sell Fallout shelters, you're going to need people to actually like fear that there's a nuclear explosion and stuff. So, they could sell Vault or whatever. So that's really cool how they're kind of pinning Vault-Tec as like sort of the main antagonist of the whole series. I think that's pretty interesting. And, same thing with like their like what they're thinking, I guess, right? Because they're... like obviously it's capitalism and stuff, but even beyond that, it's kind of like they wanted to make sure anyone in the vaults that are like important enough to like survive, like they would wipe out anyone in the wastelands, and like they would be like the perfect humans, I guess, going up into surface when the time is right. And I thought that was also pretty interesting as well, because that wasn't really something like a lot of the vault experiments and the other Fallout games kind of are just like sadistic things like they do for some reason. Like this show kind of gives more of a reason why they're doing everything, so that's kind of cool. And a lot, and some people aren't a fan of that. Like some people don't like how like they're making it all Vault-Tec's fault or whatever. Also like with the NCR getting like nuked and shit, like that people also weren't really happy about that. But I don't know.
Oh
I
yeah,
feel like
with the New Vegas town or whatever.
Yeah, well, yeah. They show up in New Vegas at the end, and that's where Mr. House is going to show up because he's like a big important figure in all this. But with the timeline stuff, it's going to be weird because, if you play New Vegas like me, I killed Mr. House. Like, he's dead. So, because I went for a truly independent New Vegas. So, I wonder how they're going to approach that, since it's kind of hard to do like a show like this with a game that has multiple endings, because you have to choose what's canon and what's not. So, I'm guessing they're going to choose that Mr. House either somehow survived the events of the New Vegas game and he's still alive, because why else would this guy be going to New Vegas if it's not to see him? Or they're going to do some other shit. I don't really know, but it's going to be interesting to see how they sort of approach all that lore stuff in the future. But I do kind of like how they are pinning it more on Vault-Tec being like the true aggressors and everything, because capitalism bad. So
yeah,
I think that was pretty interesting. And just the overall just like whole show really just truly just felt like a Fallout show. Like there's so many side distractions. Like there's so many like times where they're trying to do something and then some random shit comes out after them. You know, like that.
Yep.
That really like really fits the vibe of the show a lot. Like I said, the set design is fucking amazing. Like all the wasteland and towns look straight up from the games. The props look really good. Whenever there's like a CGI monster, it looks good. Like like the Yao Guai, which is like the big old mutant bear guy. You saw some Brahmin, some rad roaches. The power armor looks great as well. Like I think everything looked really faithful to the games, and I was just really impressed with how this feels like it could be like a Fallout game, just like as a show. And again, even from the tone to the violence, I think everything was super like on par with the games. That I was just like completely blown away by it, and it just being a nice standalone story as well, with like, you know, Lucy, Maximus, and the Ghoul all doing their own things until they all converge at the end, you know. So I thought that shit was all really good.
Yeah, I'm very surprised that they were able to do like the three-pronged storytelling very well and be able to merge it all together and sort of have it make sense. And yeah, I just really love this show from like a video game adaptation standpoint, but also just like a good show in general, because I think it just has a lot of great characters, a lot of great mystery elements to it. So I cannot wait to see what they're going to do next. I hope that they confirm it for a renewed season 2, and I am eager to see what is going to happen next. As someone who's never played Fallout, you know, it's like crazy for me to actually be invested in this show as much as I am.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what they do. Like, I think also the reason why people are like might be upset with some lore implications is just because a lot of the, you know, Fallout 3 and 4 are both in the East Coast, and you know, Bethesda kind of do their own thing in the East Coast, Fallout lore wise. The West Coast is more like a sacred thing for a lot of Fallout fans, because 1 and 2 in New Vegas all set place in that, you know, the West Coast. So the fans are a lot more radical about what you touch about the original games. And this game, this show is going straight up with the West Coast lore. And some people are just kind of mad that, you know, they're kind of messing with that stuff. But I think it's fine. Like I think the West Coast stuff is more interesting than the East Coast stuff in general. So it's cool to see them like evolving it past whatever happened in New Vegas. And seeing like the show move on to New Vegas is gonna be really interesting as well. And I'm very excited for that. Like when he showed up there, I'm like, oh shit, look at that, it's New Vegas. That's really cool. So I'm really excited to see how the show keeps going and like how they explain more stuff, because we still don't know a lot of things. Like we still don't know what happened to Coop's to Coop's wife, you know, the Ghoul's wife. Like we don't know like how he ended up doing like birthday parties and shit. Like, you know, there's still like a lot of things we don't know yet, and I'm really excited to learn more about these characters and stuff, because I actually do ended up really like them a lot. Like you know, Lucy I really like a lot. Like it's cool to see like this vault dweller really like get fucked up from like all the shit happening on the surface, because as the player character in Fallout games, you don't really get that as much because it's you, right? Seeing like this dumb vault dweller being like, oh my god, okie dokie, and then like everything's like falling apart and her trying to keep it together, I think that's like a lot more fun. So, and her actress just did a really good job at everything too. So very excited to see what's next for this show. And because we ain't gonna get Fallout 5 for like 20 years because they still got the Elder Scrolls 6. So so enjoy this.
All right. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add, Gitsa?
No, that's everything.
Well, that's all we have for today. Thank you guys for listening to the Travis and Damian podcast, episode 136. We'll see you guys 2 weeks from now with another episode.
Later.